started recording. Welcome everyone to the Ark AMA. I hope your days are wonderful so far. Hope it'll be a little bit better, more informative after this, but time will tell. Welcome, Atlas, this team.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So I guess I should start with the simplest question. What is Ark?
All right, that's a great question and a great way to start. First, I want to thank you for the invitation and having us come over here. I know you've been over to our community and spent some time seeing us do the podcast. Last night we just did the 80th podcast consecutively, very dedicated to the community. But really, our proposition of Ark is looking at the ROI dev space and understanding that there's always room for innovation. There's always space for improving tokenomics, the way that we've re-engineered. We think a lot of the past we've been inspired. I mean, there is no question, drip is king. Just like Tesla is the king of the EVs. Now, a lot of folks bought Tesla stock and did very, very well for themselves. And if they're into the EV stocks and the whole industry, there's other up-and-coming companies that are different. And we believe that Ark is special. It is different in its own unique way. The contracts are all original. The code has been done line by line. We have 5 different contracts. We've had certification, but we know that's not enough to cover yourself at night and feel comfortable. We've also hired Driven to do another set of audits, and we also hired 3 of the most experienced wide hackers of Solidity on the planet to also beat the brakes off of those new contracts. So we think it's a fantastic product built for the bear market. As we understand, there's a lot of global uncertainty. Folks are worried about their income. They're worried about the inflation, the cost of life living. And we set out to solve that problem. It's a 10-month process, really, to assemble the team. And what I believe really sets Ark apart is the team. The folks that we have working here, starting, with my experience in business development, working in banking for over a decade, working in the renewable energy sector, building energy projects off of renewables for over a decade, and also doing avoided deforestation in Africa, the Congo, in South America, the Amazon. Bringing my experience, my success, I'm going to let Mr. Brett Norton speak for himself, but he is an engineer by trade and also a man that's lived all over the world doing IP for companies as well as manufacturing. We are, in our late 40s, and we have a lot of experience we bring for the business world that we want to bridge really into DeFi, into this project. Our prime directive, Timud, is not just to focus on the same set of investors that everyone's kind of playing musical chairs with in this very small space that we call high yield DeFi. We are crossing the bridge over to the real world, understanding that there is folks that are looking for that passive income, that are looking for a play with a very small percent of their liquid asset that they could invest, not get rich overnight, but through time, everything goes well, they could have a substantial increase in that investment. So going further into team, we have Mr. Green out of Switzerland. He's about 34 years old. He's flew over here to my home to personally dox with me before launching a contract. The man is an absolute genius that I've seen take a Solidity contract of 900 lines, read it, say, okay, that's how they do it. All right. And then, within 5-6 minutes, whip up a 73-line of Solidity code contract that's much safer and has a lot more functions. Then we have his partner, which is Crypto Jan. Crypto Jan was the head of IT security for the country of Holland. He's been a blockchain developer since 2011, primarily working with layer ones. And he also, at this stage, he's consulting for the government. He has 2 companies that are creating mobile apps. It's 35 employees. They have banking institutions, hedge funds in Europe. These are billion-dollar corporations and government. Our infrastructure, our back end sits behind that same level of security as the government clients, as well as the hedge funds in Europe. And that has given us, I tell you, a great sense of comfort and security. As you can see through all of our audits, hiring hackers, security here is number one priority for us at Ark. Continuing, we have Alex, which is our great front end developer that has done all the front end work for the D app. And you have Gordy, who's our designer. We've actually just currently brought in 2 more people that are working on the mobile application, which, by the way, Achievement, we saw the first Figma rendition of the mobile app. And my friend, if you think what you see here at Ark is of quality, wait until I had to pick up my jaw off the floor yesterday. Because, see, one of the things that we understand for us to meet our prime directive is just to go global, to go to the third world countries, understanding that Argentina right now has 100% inflation this year. They've already been through bank runs. Less than 2 decades ago, I remember they were going into subways to find rats to eat. They had a bank run. The whole economy collapsed. And I mean, just our foundation product that you see here with Bond LP, it's a high yield savings account where you could put your funds in, withdraw them at any time, earn 100% APR just in that product, because you don't trust your bank in Argentina. You don't trust your bank in Brazil. We're seeing this happen even in China. We're having a crisis with the trust in Chinese banks. So they can come into Ark, not even play the ROI DApp. They could just come into the foundation, get the 100% APR. You're liquid in, liquid out. And if you have at least 250 USD worth deposited there, you can win the Spark Rewards. And the Spark Rewards, we gave away $917 last night. And that just makes us feel really how we always feel, which is our motto here, Tim. I'm going to have to play it for you.
Yeah, let's get this crypto.
Oh, god damn. Oh, yeah, let's get this crypto.
And if you don't mind, brother, if I could bring the engineer, the mastermind really behind the structure, the re-engineering, Mr. Brett Norden, because he has hit, I have my way of saying what is art, what it means to me. But this is a team, is an amazing team. I'd like for Brett to give his rendition. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Atlas. That's a nice introduction. I appreciate that. And just coming off of what you said, and my background is, as you mentioned, engineering and business development, both internationally, domestically, retail, business to business, some VC and fundraising work as well. So, at our core is more of a business mindset, I would say. And when we first looked at doing this phase 2, we'll call it, which is a derivative of bankroll flow at the end of the day, with completely new contracts, kind of rethought mechanics and how these daily ROI dApps are working, picking up from some of the, I would say, opportunities that we've seen where, other shortcomings have come. And I'm not talking about any specific project. I'm an investor in Drip, and that's really how this all originated. So coming from those, real world experience and bringing the DeFi investment mindset to look at, what are the opportunities we can take to potentially improve both the longevity, the sustainability, the true intent, which is developing a passive income play through decentralized finance and creating smart contracts that we can plug and play through different products and different evolutions of the, the core, which I'll call the daily ROI dApp, and really take it to the next level. We saw several different projects coming, over the last, I'd say 12 months. We had Piston, we had Furio, which all had their, I would say, winning formulas at that time. And we've seen that those teams that are bringing, new innovations, whether that's just from a design standpoint, new mechanics, cranking out new developments, adding new products to the portfolio consistently, really attracted new investors, and it brought new people into DeFi, which is what this is really all about. I would say at our core, ArkFi is more about fintech. We've seen kind of this, bot excitement going on. We've seen lotteries, and we've seen a lot of these other, maybe gambling layers and things like that come into the space. We've avoided a lot of that, and that's really our intent going forward, is to steer clear of that and really look at how can we bring in, a mass adoption of this technology and bring in a whole new audience that isn't into DeFi right now. So that's really, I think, our mission at the core, is to bring in and allow new users to experience what we have and the success of Drip and some of these other daily ROI dApps that have really changed people's lives. So our mission is to simplify both the onboarding, the user experience, and how they interact with the dApps, and then give people options for off-ramping their crypto as well. So we're really looking at it as a total solution, not just, a daily ROI dApp and you generate some tokens and you sell them and you're done. We're really looking for the end-to-end play and how we get mass adoption and bring in a whole new group of investors that aren't in the current DeFi space. So that's kind of how I see ArkFi, both from, I guess, at the core product is the daily ROI dApp, but this is going to be a much bigger play than we've seen any other project do before.
What would you, why did you guys make Ark? I get, no, that's not the right question. That's not the question. I guess what my question is, what do you, let's come back to it. Never mind. I'm sorry. I couldn't figure out how to phrase that properly. Why don't you, go ahead.
I think maybe the question is, to be blunt, a lot of these other Drip clones have not succeeded as well as Drip. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are Drip maxis. So why would someone want to go into this when people feel that, Drip clone season is over, or has been over for a while now?
Yeah, and I guess my question is, what are you, but you just answered most of it, actually. What are you trying to fix? What are the problems you see in DeFi, and how do you think that, and this question is for all the team, what problems do you see in DeFi, and how do you think that Ark could correct that, or perhaps help steer DeFi in the right direction? If that's
well, I'll tell you. I'll answer both questions, actually, because I thought your original question was the why. Mm-hmm. And the why of everything. Personally, for me, and I think I've been able to inspire these gentlemen to join me on this journey that's taking 10 months. The why was because I got sick and tired of being sick and tired of seeing the same thing happen over and over. All the little friends of the dev, that little 1% crew that always gets in the whitelist, friend of the marketing guy, they come into the projects, they pick up their bags or tokens, they launch, they get their 3x, 5x, they move on to the next one. Rinse and repeat, the next shiny object. I've always seen it as a flaw. I've been a victim to it. I've never been invited in that little room. And I wouldn't want to be, because I don't think that's a fair platform. That's the main inspiration for me. I was working on a fintech. I'm also working on a layer 1 blockchain for almost 2 years. And I had the time, these are big things that I'm working on, to create. I had someone come to me and say, hey, I missed out on some great opportunities in ROI space, mainly Drip. Is there a way to create a system like that, but with an even playing field? So if you look at Ark, one of the first things we did, the tokens from private pre-sale, team tokens, advisor tokens, everybody got their tokens deposited into the vault. What does that do?
I love that.
That right there, my friend. I've worked on projects before, and I've seen how people are friends today, and then they're fighting each other next week. Then the other guy goes and dumps, and then if it's not that, then it's the whale that comes and drops the first dagger. You see the red candle, people start panicking, and then they tell you, buy the dip, buy the dip. Yeah, buy the dip is the people who came in at launch who didn't get in the whitelist because they want you to be their exit liquidity, my friend. And that's just a fact. And when you see that over and over, and then there's this narrative of, well, if I didn't get into private list, I'm not getting in. If I, whether it's minor, ROI, DAP, even in the, meme coins, to say it in a nice way. So it came through that frustration, and through that frustration, trying to really build a team here was very difficult. I went through 2 sets of developers that would, like everyone else in the space, overpromise and under-deliver time and time again. They charge you an arm and a leg, $35K for a front end in React that looks like trash. And if you took somebody from the real world that does, web development, would probably charge you $6K. But just because it's crypto, they want to charge you, they want to take advantage of you. These guys take on, 40, 50 clients at a time. And I had a Solidity developer take 2 weeks to answer one DM. In that, understanding that when we started Ark, we did a small Syndicate founders group, SK Crypto K, Chris Dugan, Roots Cage Lounge, Future Lounge owner K. We got these people in a room here in Telegram, and within 4 hours we had $50,000 to start with. But I couldn't find a team. We launched a miner, which was sort of like a baked beans fork, because it was the only thing I could really find the talent to do. And we launched that over in Kronos, which still to today we hold the highest TVL ever reached in Kronos on a miner. Unfortunately, when we launched at 53 cents, that's when crypto.com decided to take away the staking rewards for their card holders. And the community of holders of Crow got really upset with crypto.com, and they dumped it from 53 cents to 11 cents. And that's all she wrote. When folks get hurt that way, they're not very motivated to keep investing or bring a friend, right? So something out of our control gave us a result that we were not happy with. We had friends, family involved, and that created more frustration. There was someone that got into that miner with a leak. We did like a 24-hour test period with a small group. We're talking here 300 Crow. That was back then like $100 or something like that. That was the limit. And some genius decided to leak it to a friend who put like 7,000 Crow and was banging us for 18,000 Crow a day. And there was nothing I could do to protect my community, my investors. That's when I learned about immutable contracts. That's where I learned how unfair a lot of this stuff is. And that's how I met Brett Norton. He was an investor in that project. So it came from the frustration, from the experience, and understanding that there's a better way to level the playing field, so that if we do it correctly, even now, you cannot go buy Ark and, purchase it, have it in your wallet, wait for some price appreciation, and then just dump on everybody else. If you're going to be here, this is a high token yield project. If you're going to be here, you're going to play the game. Just like I'm in the game, Brett's in the game, every other investor is playing the same game. And when you level that playing field, there's that narrative, I don't want to buy the top. I talked about that before. We're leveling, we're controlling price, where 6 months from now, a year from now, a new investor comes and says, hey, wait, the price is stable. It almost looks like a stable coin. It's not. It's a dynamic price range. But they don't have that fear that they're coming and buying, $40, $50 Ark 6 months later, and that they're the victim. They're the exit liquidity. So that's really I believe the why we came together, and then why it took 10 months to really find a team to let Brett work out every single angle, because we've realized, especially in this space, if there's a way for people to take advantage, to squeeze, to exploit just a 0.001 more of a token, they will find a way and they will punish you for it. So we say Ark is hindsight 2020. We've looked back, and it's easy to be, what do they call it, Monday night quarterback or something like that? Everybody, oh no, he should have passed it left, he should have ran the other play. Well, Ark has had that opportunity to sit back and say, okay, great, that worked. Brett, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, is that we've had the opportunity to look back and see how we can re-engineer it. And as mentioned, we don't compare ourselves to any other DApp. That's kind of done by the community, and we let people decide, where they want to put their money. I think I wish that Drip does really well. I have a huge bag of Drip. I've been in it for over a year. I see these other ROI dApps also that I'm invested in struggling right now, and I hope they turn around. I hope they find, use cases, utilities, and the community rallies behind them, for the simple fact that I'm still an investor in those dApps. So this isn't about replacing, those other dApps that are out there. I think if you have a love and a passion for DeFi, that there's a lot of different opportunities to make money in the space, and the people that are most successful diversify. While one, dApp is performing well, another might not be. So we need to find areas and spaces to, weather the storm, allow developers to create, innovate, and, buy that longer runway that we need to really make a big difference in the space. So to me, it's not about, one winning or one losing. It's more about being a savvy investor, being smart about where you're putting your money, and, testing out new avenues, putting it in places where you're attracted to because of the team, because of the tech, whatever it might be, the roadmap. So yeah, I think since we took the time and we really put a lot of energy and effort, we launched a full stack of contracts, not just like one. We didn't just throw one out there and, hope and pray that the marketing and the people that behind it would come and rally behind us so that we could launch additional ones. We really thought through, the ecosystem and how to support the long-term growth, key sustainability metrics, locking up the tokens, as you mentioned, into the vault contract. That was, I would say, a key. Yeah, it was a key to being able to provide stability. But then again, it's all about, to me, I invest in teams, I invest in people. We see that this space is difficult to operate in, as you mentioned, the costs of, building teams and sustaining teams. So coming around and rallying behind teams that are trying to push the envelope and innovating and coming out with, new exciting features, products, UI design, whatever it might be, I think is important from a community standpoint. But then it's, can that team sustain the growth? Are they all committed to the project? Are they all, as you mentioned, shoulder to shoulder with investors? We're all incentivized in the same way in Ark, in that if Ark doesn't succeed, I don't succeed, I don't make money. All of, my potential earnings in the future will come out of the vault. I have no way of, selling my tokens to somebody else, or, I don't have a bag of tokens sitting on the side that I can dump, 6 months from now when the price appreciates. It's just not possible to do. So I think aligning the incentives, as you mentioned, and then rallying a team around a mission or, a cause. When you and I first talked, I said, hey, if this is just going to be, a derivative of bankroll flow with some added twists and features, I'm not interested in, spending 12 months of my life to, re-engineer and develop that. It's got to be a much bigger mission. We have to be able to bridge over into the mass market and bring more people into DeFi and into the protocol, or else it's, just quite honestly, just not worth my time. Later in life, I've done a lot with my business career and been an entrepreneur for quite a while. So, I want to, build something great, build something for the long term, but then, have a much bigger impact on the financial landscape that I think that DeFi can have. So that's my perspective on that one.
Why don't you guys walk us around the website a little bit, please? Pretend I don't know anything about DeFi. What's the simplest way to start with Ark? How to get started?
Well, if you're going to get started, this is your first time, we would absolutely encourage everyone to go to the white paper.
Want me to read? No.
Well, you can come in and talk to us live for, every night. We're on for an average around 2 hours, 2.5 hours every single evening. We communicate, we educate. We have to be there. It is a robust, complex system. This is not your grandmother's LMS or ROI-DApp, as they say. This is really pushing the envelope, and it's different. So we have a quick start guide here, which brings you, really to the basics. But we also get into the philosophy that I'm going to let, Brett really talk about, because we've also turned on its head the whole, compound one day, claim the other day. Which we'll talk about a little bit. There's a video here explaining what is CWR, what is NDV, and maybe if we want, we'll go through that and let Brett explain it. But before we do that, I do just want to show you first the D app. This is really the beginning, the home page. You can see the price of ARK at 574, holding steady. Which, if you look at the ARK chart, give me a quick second to show you where things are at. See that price is really holding steady here. As you say, as a trader, when in doubt, zoom out. And if we would have let it run, we would have smashed easily around that price. And then people would be saying today here in this meeting, oh, the price is here, I'm not buying, I'm too late. But no, my friend, it's actually here waiting for passengers, waiting for investors to get on board the ARK to get them through the bear market. That's what this is built for, my friends. So with that, you also see that we have our market cap. This is liquidity in PancakeSwap, 743,386 BUSD. Our ILC, our Intelligent Liquidity Controller, has a reserve of $461,759, holding that price, creating BUSD to support the payout, to support the whole system through that stability. And it's actually quite impressive, something that I think a lot of people haven't realized. If you come over to MoonArk and you go to the ROI dApps, they list 53. It's a pretty competitive game. And if you come here to this tab and you hit TVL, you could see ARK here at 1.2 million. And you look at the rest, you have a 2 million here, 1.9 million, 1.2. We're in the fourth position out of the 53 ROI dApps. And if you were to look at us as a miner, because some folks, like to look at things that way, we are really in the second position out of 275. With that, we do the Spark price pool every evening. It's at 128.29 ARK. And this is a BUSD value of $736.38. Last night, we gave away 159.76 ARK. That was $917. That was our 30-second winner. It just keeps growing and growing. Until today, we've paid out 23,328.80 BUSD worth of ARK that goes into your ARK Vault account. And that's just been in 33 days of going live. For our legacy NFT holders, which we're going to talk about too, we've paid out over 42,000 BUSD. That is actually every 24 hours you get a payment for holding a legacy NFT. Gives you more rewards. So just give you a scope of what's here. This is why the smart money is really coming to ARK, guys. These type of payments, the opportunity to win here, and all you have to do is hold in our foundation $250 or BUSD worth of Ark here staked, paying you 100% a year, like a high yield savings account, and you get your first level of direct deposits, and you also can win every single night this amazing Spark prize pool. We're not seeing this, guys, anywhere. So with that, Brett, you want to do the walkthrough? Let's explain here.
Yeah,
Vol,
sure. Yeah, maybe just some background on the high level mechanics. People may be aware of Kelly Snook. She's been around the drip community for quite some time. One of her mantras a long time ago, and I came in through Kelly's team, through the Cryptozoa team, and really fell in love with the concepts that Kelly preaches and things about balanced and responsible, I would say, selling of the tokens, especially in drip. And one of her main philosophies was following a balanced approach, because it would, smooth out some of the big swings up and the big swings down that we've seen in other protocols. And it's not just drip. Others have kind of seen the same price action where, out of the gates, we see this big hockey stick up. And then, slowly as, people that are holding larger numbers of the token start to sell off, we see that, huge swing down. Creates a lot of sentiment issues in the community, a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty comes in. And so we said, is there a way to develop the mechanics in a way that incentivize that type of behavior where there is some level of selling required early on, or at least withdrawing of the token out of the vault account? And then will that have an impact later on? And can we see it as a positive impact? And the answer is, when we ran models and we see what's happened with other protocols, that the answer is yes. If we all were racing to a finish line and we're hyper compounding, we call it, we're compounding every day up to a max wallet, and then we have no other choice but to claim and sell at that point, we see a large wall of wallets that are all in the same condition. And once those start to sell off, we see the price depreciation, as well as, stress on the liquidity, stress on the tax vault, these other issues that have come up. And so our main goal was to create a more stable passive income play, one that encourages people to ROI, which is very important in any investment, not just DeFi. Get your initials out, and then that positive reinforcement will naturally create the behavior of sharing that investment with other people, with reinvesting back into the protocol to that rinse and repeat. But now we're rinsing and repeat in a responsible way, one that's more distributed across a larger number of people that have a lot of different stages of the wallets in the system. So we're not seeing these big pushes by large influencers that then eventually dump off. What we're seeing is smaller wallets, larger wallets, whatever those might be, following the same type of balanced approach to compounding back in to grow their, the balance of their account, but then also withdrawing to put profits back into their pocket. And so that's the main philosophy difference, I would say, from Ark, from any other ROI DApp that I've seen. There might be some that do that on a weekly basis or something like that, but we're talking about actually doing this every day. And so one of the metrics that we have is called CWR. It's a compound withdrawal ratio. And what that does is it forces the investor to stay in a balanced compound and withdrawal schedule where we're using percentages every day. So let's say that we stay on a 1-to-1 schedule, which people will be familiar with. They're typically going to compound one day and then potentially withdraw the next. In our system, in Ark, we're asking people to do it on a percentage basis. So every day when you come to the DApp, and you come to the vault and you see your available rewards that are there, you're going to use the sliders to allocate 50% to compound and 50% withdraw. That would be a CWR of 1.0. So what we're looking at is the amount of time that's elapsed on the timer, and then we're applying that to the compound and the withdraw in seconds, actually, in the background. So it's a little different concept than people might be used to, but what it does, it really smooths out the compound and withdrawing schedule so that there isn't as much stress on the system, both from a tax vault perspective and also liquidity perspective. And people are seeing gains earlier, so there's a huge benefit to the investor. But then there's also a big benefit to the sustainability of the protocol. So that's really the essence of CWR. There's more to go into there and maybe unpack. But the easiest thing is, if you come up and every day, if you just started your investment and you did a 50-50, a 50% compound, 50% withdraw, you'll stay in the green for the entire investment. And when you reach max payout, there's actually no days that you would need to claim out 100%. You would just finish gracefully at the end. We do allow you to go to a 60-40, 60% compound, 40% withdraw, but that's really the default maximum amount you can compound. You always have to withdraw a certain percentage every day, no matter what level you're at. So that's kind of the essence of that. Did you have any questions about that, Timu?
No, actually, yes. Can you walk me through an airdrop real quick? I've had a few people say they can't figure that part out. If I wanted to, going back to that system real quick, Atlas, are you the one sharing the screen, sir?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you go back to the slider there, right, and you're doing the compound withdrawal, blah blah blah. When you click, you choose airdrop. What happens after that? I haven't tried it myself yet, but what happens after that, sir?
Okay. So when you add a percentage of airdrop, that also counts as a withdraw in your CWR calculation. But then the airdrop goes to your airdrop balance on your syndicate page. So it automatically, it allocates. Yeah, it's a little different than some of the other protocols where you're actually claiming it out and then you're airdropping from your wallet. This actually goes into an airdrop balance, and then you're pushing it from there using the syndicate viewer to do an airdrop. And we do both. You can do individual wallet airdrops as well as a bulk airdrop as well.
And does that incur less taxes or just about the same?
Sorry, guys. Technical issues here on the stream deck.
He leaned on the soundboard.
Yeah, spilled my tea. Sorry, guys. So cleaning it up.
So the tax tiers, the starting tax tier is 10%, and so it's 10% withdraw, 10% compound, 10% airdrop. So it's all the same. So it's
okay. Let me rephrase it. So, for example, in most of the other daily ROI things, you have the claim, which is taxed. Then the airdrop is taxed as well. So with your system, where you're only going to incur the 10% tax for
correct.
Exactly. So perfect. So it saves you an extra. Awesome. Okay.
Yep. And keep in mind, those are virtual tokens at the end of the day. So it's just keeping the tax vault healthy. So, there's no real reason to tax that. Once you've if you consider the airdrop to be kind of a claimed out, then it's the same in that same respect. But then those are going right back into somebody's vault account. So those never hit your wallet. So they're not out in the wild or anything. So you can't, dump those or send those to somewhere else. There is a 10% transfer tax. So if you were to pull those out to your wallet from the withdrawal and then send them to another wallet, then that would be a 10% tax in the transfer.
Now, your CWR, and on top it says the 2%. That goes down if you go below the red line, right?
Yes, it does. And so we encourage people to follow that balance approach we talked about. But if you withdraw too much, then you could fall below that 0.75 is the default. The 0.75 is for everyone. If you fall below that when your CWR calculation, then you will fall to 0.5% per day for the rewards payout permanently.
Is that permanent?
Yes, it is. Yep. It can't be recovered. Yeah. So it's something to be careful of or cognizant, but as long as you're following those percentages that I mentioned, whether you're doing a 50-50 or a 60-40 from the beginning, you shouldn't get, into that red zone, or especially if you're doing the auto allocation. We have an auto compounder, we call it, an auto allocation system, because our percentages are different. But if you're following that auto allocation process, then you really don't have to worry about, falling into that lower CWR
Okay.
of 0.75. So yeah, what we've tried to do is retrain the community a little bit, because a lot of them are coming from either weekly schedules or daily schedules, coming from different protocols where they might be doing like a 4-3 or an every other day or a 6-1 or whatever it might be, and get them accustomed to the sliders and doing a percentage each day of both compound and withdraw. And it's much better for the system, keeps them out of trouble in the CWR. They should be smooth sailing if they start from the beginning with that. What we're seeing where people are getting confused about the CWR is if they're following 100% compounds, then when 100% withdraws, because it's time-based calculation, they might be doing it a little bit different time every day. And so then their schedule is kind of getting mixed up. They might come back, 4 or 5 hours earlier one day and 4 or 5 hours later. So if you come back to the vault screen around the same time every day, it doesn't have to be the same time, but you're doing the same percentages, then you won't have any issues at all with the CWR.
Excellent.
And then you mentioned that 2%. I'll just take a chance. Next to that is the NDV. And so our NDV is a little bit different than what you might be used to in DRIP. I'll use that as an example. So what we look at the NDV as is really a liquidity calculation. So it's how much capital have you put in minus how much capital you've put out. So the NDV, as long as it remains positive, you stay in that 2% daily ROI. If it drops to negative, you fall to 1%, but that is recoverable. So the way to kind of cure or to keep your NDV positive as long as possible is to either make fresh capital deposits or to get referral rewards. So we count referral rewards as the same as making fresh deposits. And the reason for that is, there might be people out there that are, doing Medium articles or doing YouTube videos or, hosting a lounge like yourself and managing a community. We want to reward those people because we know that there's a lot of work that goes into that. And they're doing, instead of working for fiat, they're working for crypto in this case, So we wanted to reward and see that or view that the same as somebody that's, DCAing back into the project. Those people are out earning those rewards in different ways. And so referral rewards are the best way to keep that NDV positive if you don't want to put in fresh capital or redeposit ArkFi tokens back into your account to keep the NDV positive.
That's pretty simple. Tell me about the foundation.
Okay. Yeah, the foundation is very similar to the reservoir or fur pool, if you're familiar with that one. But the difference is we have some added utilities. So instead of having a secondary token to qualify for referral rewards, we allow people to hold hold 250 BUSD in value of our bond liquidity pool token. And so this is really just a liquidity pool. It's a staking protocol where you can earn a variable yield based on the rewards pool. I'll get into that a little bit more. But Atlas mentioned the getting referral levels using this foundation contract. And the first level, so if you want to get paid on all of your direct referrals, you would need to hold $250 worth of bond. That is subject to impermanent loss, but because our liquidity pool is BUSD and ArkFi tokens, it's been very stable. And also you're earning a yield, and that yield comes from the taxes in and taxes out. So it's a tax-based rewards pool. And we're seeing, well in excess of 100% APY currently being paid out. So if you're recompounding your rewards back into the pool and back into your bond, your stake value, then you can kind of keep ahead of any kind of, deflation in token price, or, if you see your account balance dropping slightly, you will need to maintain that $250 in BUSD value. So you can either add more ARK or BUSD to the pool in order to, keep that topped up and keep at least your first referral level. There are additional referral levels that you can put into the bond. But if you start getting into around that $1,000 in the foundation level, then you may want to look at the legacy NFTs, which we can talk about that one later. The second aspect, I'd say utility that we built into the foundation was the qualifying for those Spark rewards that Atlas mentioned yesterday. It was, well over $800 in Ark was rewarded to somebody through the Spark drawing. And if you hold that, at least that first level of referral rewards, that first referral level in the foundation, then you do qualify for those daily Spark rewards drawings. And what we're doing, I can go into that a little bit, but I'll answer any questions
please.
first about the foundation.
No. That was
Okay.
perfect. I got it.
Yeah, and also I'll mention on the foundation it's perfectly liquid. So it's BUSD or ARK in and BUSD out, but there is a 10% tax in, 10% tax out. One of the things with those added utilities I will mention, we've seen really steady growth in that foundation contract. We started out at just before launch at like 35,000 in there, and now I think we're pushing 160,000 after 1 month. So we're seeing significant amount of growth just because people are catching on to, hey, this is an easy way to qualify for my referrals and get some directs, or if they're doing a multi-wallet strategy, they can benefit from that. But then also the Spark rewards seem to be kind of the talk of the town right now, because there's some big winners coming out of that. It's totally passive. And the Spark rewards it's like a lossless raffle, I would say, is probably the best way to describe it.
It all goes
in
into
that,
the deposits, right?
yeah. So what happens is, with our round robin reward system, it's similar to the other protocols in that we go up 15 levels, but we go up 15 levels no matter where you are in the downline below. What we call our top wallet is called our Guardian wallet. It's not a dev wallet. It doesn't participate in the daily ROI DApp or anything like that. It's just a top level placeholder, I'd call it, for the tax vault. So it's basically the tax vault at the end of the day. But what happens is if there's levels above you that go to the Guardian wallet, the compounding rewards still go up 15 levels no matter where you are in the downline. And so if there's a qualifying wallet above you, they'll receive the 5% compound reward. But if that's an unqualified wallet, then it will go to the Guardian wallet. And then what we're doing is every day, so every 24 hours, we take 50% of all of the compound rewards that are going to the Guardian wallet, and we put them into the Spark prize pool. Then we have our own VRF system and a verifiable random function. So we randomly pull a number from our VRF, and we pull 10 qualifying wallets that either have the $250 in bond that we mentioned or a legacy NFT, and those would be qualifying wallets. And we see if that number matches one of those wallets, one of those qualifying wallets. And we do that every day. And that wallet that gets selected randomly wins the Spark pool. So right now we're just pulling one winner per day. I can see a point where we get multiple winners per day as the ecosystem grows and these compound rewards trickle up and get to be much bigger over time. But the cool thing about these rewards is they're viewed in the system as a referral reward. So these aren't ArkFi tokens that get put into your wallet so you could just dump them. They go into your Ark Vault principal balance. And what that does is it helps boost your NDV. So we talked about the NDV staying positive, keeps your 2% per day. Well, when those ArkFi when those Spark rewards go back into your principal balance, they also count towards a positive side of the calculation for the NDV. So they'll help maintain your 2%, and then they give you a huge boost in your principal balance, which is what's the reward payout is based off of every day.
All right, cool. Off topic. Do you guys, well, not really off topic, but off this topic, do you guys have any plans to simplify fiat onboarding?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of our, so now that we have our core products, where we are now is in the phase of kind of, our brand promise is DeFi simplified. So we want to take all of these usually complex DApps and make them much more simple. And right now we have a big project that we're in the middle of, which is designing a web application, mobile web application. So it's a progressive web app. If you're familiar with that, it's a PWA. And
Okay,
what we're
so it's
going to
not going to
do,
be like, it's not going to be in like the, when you say mobile app, it's not going to be in like the Apple Store or Android Store?
ultimately, we have that option. But for now, just based on the development roadmap, we're going to start with the PWA. And then as we get to more of, I would say, final version of that, we could go that route with Android and Apple. We know that, Apple, these financial type apps have a long road to, through the regulation process and through acceptance by both Android and Apple. But Apple's pushed back on a couple of these type of apps recently. So, to keep it in a PWA format, yeah, a PWA format would be fine. It's just as usable and it's more flexible, and you can access it from any browser. So if we stayed in that format, it wouldn't be an issue for me. But we would like to ultimately have a Play Store app and an iOS app. So, but that's kind of down the road. But for now, what we're doing is we're taking our D app and we're putting it into the PWA. So we're reformatting, restructuring everything so that it's very user-friendly on a mobile device. And that's the first step. We're also doing a partnership with Ultimo. I'm not sure if you know who they are, but they have an on-ramping solution that they're developing, and they also have the off-ramp solution. So we're trying to give that full end-to-end experience for our users to be able to on-ramp from fiat using a debit card to our swap page, which then they go right into the vault. When they purchase Ark, it gets deposited into the Ark vault account. And then as they earn Ark out, they sell through the swap page. They have the option of taking it, off to the offshore bank account that Ultimo provides. That's a separate service. That's something we'll be directing them to, but not integrating directly with, because obviously there's a offshore bank account setup process and everything that Ultimo has before you can use their debit card to spend your earnings. But anyway, so what we're trying to do is create a lot of simplicity in how the DApp functions, but then also create seamless integrations between all of these different steps so that the user experience is much more elegant than what it is now. Right now, we have centralized exchanges, we have Web3 wallet setups, we have connecting and all of these different steps to just get from fiat to crypto to DeFi. And so our ultimate goal is to streamline all of those steps so that, let's say you're out and you're having some dinner with some friends and you're talking about investing, you're talking about DeFi, whatever it might be, and you can show them your mobile app, your PWA, and they can scan your QR code, and instantly that's connected to your referral wallet address, and they're getting onboarded through the debit card on ramp through Ultimo, and they're coming right into the investment. And that's the very short-term goal. We want to be able to achieve that. The long-term goal is that we have this all where they don't even have to do the wallet setup. We do that for them, and they're pushing from fiat directly into the D app. So that's where we think we can get to. Atlas mentioned Crypto Jan. He has a complete development team, and they've done web applications for mobile web applications for some of the largest investment firms in Europe. We've already been through some of the design iterations of what the next rebrand and user interface is going to look like with his development team there. We've been actively developing a new layout for the app. But in the meantime, we're going to take the current D app and do the PWA so that we get the functionality out in the hands of our investors so that they can onboard more investors and really start to bridge the gap out into the mass market.
Very cool. I see a lot of these, well, not a lot, but some of the daily ROI apps are starting to invest in real world products to bring back yield into the system. Do you guys have anything like that in place or planning anything like that?
Yes, we absolutely do. And us coming from business development, banking, in the real world, and project development, one of the things that we see as low-hanging fruit, building in the bear market, is going to Alberta, Canada, where we have relationships with a company that's been doing really crypto mining over there, connected directly to natural gas, methane. That's a process that comes naturally whenever you're doing oil extraction and exploration. And through the EPA, Environmental Impact Authority, and the whole environmental rules, you have that in America, you have that also in Canada. There are caps as to how much oil you can really produce, because generally they have to flare that. Even flaring it, I don't know if you've ever been by an oil field and you see these pipes coming out and there's fire, right? They're flaring that gas. It's extremely harmful to the environment. So what the saying, one man's gold is one man's trash, is another man's gold. They would have to spend millions of dollars, and it would take several years to bring from those far-reaching areas of oil exploration, take that natural gas to market. So it's cheaper just to move on to another well and fall into the categories as to what the caps is. So they're tapping into that. They're putting turbines and generators right there at the well on site, taking the free natural gas. They're purchasing the crypto mining GPUs. And if you've been watching the news and seen the sentiment of the market for the past 8 months or so, you'll realize that a lot of the crypto mining companies, even the publicly traded companies, are going bankrupt, out of business. We've had an increase sometimes in some places threefold of what the price of energy was just a year ago. So understanding that we have a distressed market, right? When there's blood on the streets, there's a lot of money to be made. Our intention as one of the investments is to pick up those GPUs, pennies on the dollars, and then go and connect to the natural gas with the wind turbines and the generators. And the operating cost of that operation is around 1 cent per kilowatt hour. You could have $100 Bitcoin and still be profitable to be validating on that network. So that's one of the opportunities that we have, which, again, something very important. And I think another special feature of Ark is that these funds, this external investment fund, we have $296,000 sitting there right now. This is all coming from the legacy NFT investors. It is not our money to move. It is the investors' money. We cannot make decisions on external investments without the vote on the blockchain by every investor who holds a legacy NFT. So our fiduciary duty here is to bring all the documentation. This is real-world assets. It's real-world business where you have contracts. There's corporations. You look at the track record. You look at their balance sheet. You look at who the founders, who are the operating managers, C-level of the company, and you look at a performer. You look at a pitch deck, and we provide that to our investors for them to go and do their own research so that they could analyze the investment and they could understand what the projections, right? You can't see the future, but the projections, if Bitcoin goes down to $200 or if it goes up to, $50,000, 1 cent per kilowatt hour cost of energy, it's still profitable in the bear market, but it is really profitable in a bull market. And we've been through these cycles before. We understand. So that's another opportunity that we're going to be presenting to our legacy NFT holders as an external investment, is a hedge fund that's been around for over 20 years in Europe. And they do very high level arbitrage of really bonds. So these are financial assets, instruments that we could look at it for, like the simple man, crowdfunding. That's a word that most little guys like you and I, investors here know. We don't get invited to those because these guys raise from institutional investors, generally between $1.5 billion to $3.5 billion, dollars, in that range. And they're trading that bond from, let's say counterparty A, which could be a bank or a government institution, to counterparty B. And they're the arbitrage in the middle to finance that operation. It's not an everyday thing. It's not an every week or every month. These are special opportunities. We have those banking connections. And when that opportunity arises, again, we will do a DAO vote, present the company. I firmly believe through my years in business not to do business with folks that don't have a very good track record that you can analyze. Generally, past performance equals future performance. And doing due diligence and knowing that these are serious folks, not somebody that just opened a company, an LLC on the internet 3 days ago and it's got an idea. That's not going to fly. This is serious business. We are serious folks, and these are investor funds that they have to choose what they want to invest in.
Interesting. All right. A question from the survey that we had. Will my rewards be always on time? I've heard some issues that their rewards have been delayed for a few hours. Yeah, that's the question. Will the rewards always be on time? I guess this guy's heard that there's been some instances where they got delayed. Can you speak to that?
We've had some instances. You understand there's a very complex system, especially in the back end. Because we do just not the 2% ROI. We have the foundation. We have the legacy rewards. As I told you, that's paid out over $42,000 in just 32 days. We understand that these payments, we have over 2,500 wallets. Sometimes there could be a snag in doing that transaction, and it could get stuck. If there's a volatility in the market, the gas fee, there could be an issue with a node. And what happens is we have bots. We have a special group here, the group on Telegram, that sent me personally a notification on Telegram that the distribution failed. So I have a manual function in the contract. For me personally, I'm the only one that has that power. I have it on two. First, we have everything on multi-sig on Gnosis, but I have two hardware wallets that I have to approve any transaction. So if there is any instance, and it's happened before, where it gets stuck, the transaction, I just go ahead and do it manually, and everybody has been very happy with the result.
Yeah, just to clarify, Atlas, on that, it's only been in relation to the legacy NFT rewards payouts, and we haven't had an issue with the daily ROI DApp or the foundation that I'm aware of. So it was just that one rewards pool, or where we distribute the rewards. The automation has failed for a couple different reasons, mostly related to blockchain congestion or things like that. So you have triggered it manually, so that hasn't been an issue.
Thanks for that clarification. Very true.
Excellent. Next question for you. Many of these DeFi projects have been, actually, you kind of answered this, but I still want to ask it. Alexa, shut up. Sorry.
Funny.
Many of these DeFi projects have been hacked. How do you think the recent events at other DeFi projects will affect, trust in your system? What can you do? What can your team do to alleviate some of those concerns? And yeah.
Well, the word trust is something we never use or promise in this business. I think that words are very cheap, and in this space there's been so many scammers and fraudsters and people that talk slick that our philosophy here is to put the work in and let the work and the quality of the work speak for itself. When it comes to security, we've already mentioned that in the process of creating fresh Solidity contracts, 5 of them, we felt a responsibility to our investors, because potentially we will see millions of dollars, tens of millions, and potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in these contracts. It would be irresponsible for us to just rely on a CERTIC audit, which we did as it's part of, let's just say being, legit, having a CERTIC. So we did that. We played that game. We went and got Driven, which is a company that does more of a forensic deep dive search, looking for exploits into smart contracts. We went ahead and did that as well. And then, like I said, we hired 3 of the, let's say, most renowned hackers in the world of Solidity under a bounty program. It was very expensive, guys, this whole process that we did, but there is no cutting expenses when it comes to investors' funds and the security of them. So that was on the contract side. But then we have Crypto Jan. Like I said, he was the head of IT security for the government of Holland. And this gentleman, being a blockchain developer too since 2011, he is really hosting and protecting all our network. We have 3 servers that are load sharing, and we have a 4th server that's doing some distribution for the whole system. We have the same level of protection as his government contracts, as well as his hedge fund and banking customers. So that is how serious we take security here at Ark.
Excellent.
This is all verifiable, documented.
Yeah, I just will add to that, Atlas, that quite a few different projects were having issues with DDoS attacks, and we were actually attacked during our pre-sale. I think it was our second round, wasn't it? And Crypto Jan saw this all happening and basically smacked the DDoS attackers, and actually DDoS reverse attacked them and shut down all their servers. So, we've already proven that we have the capabilities in place to protect our systems and our networks, and Crypto Jan is invaluable in that function.
They got punched in the face and they lost some money as well, because they had to spend some gas fees to try to do what they did. So
I like it. Put your hand in the cookie jar and come out with some consequences. I like it. So, this is the same question, but I don't know why I can't talk today. You guys are covered a lot of the questions that most people are asking, but there's a little certain nuance to it, so I still want to ask some of them. This one is, how strong is your team? Which I know. Many projects started out with good impression and later abandoned the project. What makes your project different? I guess the question he's asking is, are you guys in it for the long term, or what? How do we know that you guys are going to keep coming back for more, rather?
Well, everything's been really thought of right from the beginning, and 10 months of work to get us to launch. I think that shows the dedication, and Brett spoke about that. He was semi-retired before he met me. And I don't think he understood what he was getting himself into, but it's amazing. This man has 4 children. One of them is a newborn. And just last night, it was on 2.5 hours on our 80th podcast. The man has superhuman powers. I've never met anybody that works as hard as I do. And I still don't know how he keeps up. Goes to the gym, eats a vegan diet. The guy is Superman. But listen, it's really how everything is structured and the vision on the long-term basis here. We do not have team tokens that we can just sell and leave. We have our allocations, and they're in the vault. That equates to a very simple fact. If our investors don't succeed and win on a long-term, multi-year basis, we don't either. And that right there keeps our team engaged, because the money's not today. The money's not tomorrow. The money's not in a month or in 3 months or in 6 months. The real value of keeping this up, of continuously adding, innovating, creating products, and onboarding customers from the real world, the average Joe, the average Jane, the Uber driver, the single mother with 2 kids that just wants a simple app that's going to give them some passive income. Maybe they were using BlockFi, and they see that at Ark they could have a much higher rate of return. We understand that that's where the vision is, that's where the growth is, and we haven't seen really many projects in DeFi have the team that has the experience to be able to develop in the real world large-scale projects. We do. I mean, that's one of the problems I see with a lot of these projects, is that they have an ambitious roadmap, but they do not have the talent in-house do not take off. They don't go on the space mission with the crew you need to accomplish the mission and execute. We do here. And that, as I said in the beginning, is our greatest asset. The folks that we have here on board have that experience. They have the passion. They see the prize, right? The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but we're all aboard the same ship, hence the Ark. And we have to all paddle together in the same direction. There's a ton of work. I mean, we work 7 days a week, Saturdays, Sundays. We do podcasts every night. I think we've proven through our actions and our words the commitment that this team has, a vision. If we reached 140,000 wallets in our system, we would consider ourselves an absolute failure, if I'm honest with you. That is not worth 10 months of my life with the background I have and the things that I've done and the development that Brett Norden has done and the businesses that Jan has done in blockchain. He went through the whole period, of blockchain development, since 2011. Made tons of money, got bored of crypto, went back to work for the government, worked for the private clients. 35 mobile app developers on staff in 2 companies. I can look at you in the eyes and tell you, my friend, we can make this happen. There's absolutely no doubt in our mind.
All right. What if you didn't work for Ark, if you guys didn't start it, and you found Ark and you wanted to fork it, like other things, what would you do different? Do you think? Like if you wanted to fork Ark, what would you do different? I'm just curious.
Well, I wouldn't even try. I think it'd be futile. I think it'd be worthless because you'd have to take the time that I took to find the right individuals, to put them through the test of fire and see their qualities on the good days and on the bad days and see if they're worth their salt. And that in itself takes a long time, a lot of resources. I would challenge anyone to go ahead and do so. But I know the amount of work that it takes here on the back end to just keep this running and the innovation. So it's not about the contracts. You can go ahead and launch those contracts tomorrow if anybody wishes to. I would be quite amused. I'd get some popcorn, and I'd like to see what they could do with it.
What would you do? Having the project been around now for what, 2-3 months now, give or take. What would you tell? What would you tell Atlas from like a month ago to change things?
We've only been out a month.
Okay. Wow. I'm almost ROI. It feels longer than that. That's it.
They say money can't buy happiness. Look at the fucking smile on my face.
Seriously. Let's see. It's only been a month? Holy shit. I think I'm almost ROI.
Hey, we're gonna be. If you give me a PO box, man, we'll be sending out a T-shirt because we got some T-shirts coming. I ROI'd. There's a 1X, there's a 2X shirt, the 3X. I'm a Spark Rewards winner. We got some merchandising in the work, man, where you're gonna be able to flex and go to the barbecue. And what is that? I ROI'd on Ark. Oh man, here, download this mobile app, brother. Scan my QR code. You're missing out, son. Get over here. It's going to be quite nice. But to answer your question, a month going back, there's always there's always things that you wish you could go back and perfect. There's some features that we're understanding. There's some folks that made mistakes, for example, on not putting in the referral code right. We can't change that. A function like that, I would like to have implemented. We wanted to try to be as hands off into a lot of the features, but also we left a lot of room for upgrades and innovation, but doing it in a very, I think, aesthetic and respectable way, holistic when it comes to not being fully immutable, but at the same time having aspects that will enable us to grow. For example, we do not have proxy contracts. We do not have proxy. That's against our rules. So there are certain features that I think that now, a month into it, and there might be something that we say as we continue to grow and say, hey, you know what? Let's implement. Let's upgrade. We did a update on our legacy contract because we're trying to do the whole thing of under promise, over deliver. So in our roadmap, we had the implementation of the DAO for the legacy NFT holders. We did an upgrade. No one even noticed it, but we implemented into the legacy contract the DAO voting for these external investments. So that might be something in the future that we will work on. There's a couple of things on our short list privately that I can't share with you that we would see as improvements. You would see as slight improvements that would give us more capabilities, a couple things that we're doing manually that we could automate a bit more. So like anything, any new product, there's always room for some improvement. The whole system overall is working absolutely, I think, flawlessly. It's doing what it's supposed to do, what it was meant to do. But yeah, that's the only thing that I would say. I don't know, Brett, is there anything that you want to add to that a month into it?
Yeah, I would say I would say the difficulty we had that I didn't really foresee was just training people on the CWR aspects of it. I wish we would have had some of that foresight, coming from other projects. I was doing daily schedules and other projects and then coming over and kind of adapting that behavior to a CWR calculation is a little different. So yeah, there might have been some, I guess, better education and things we could have been prepared for up front just to make the user experience, investor experience a little more smooth, I would say. But otherwise, I think overall, everybody that's in Ark right now is thrilled they got in when they did. As you mentioned, Timu, many people are getting close to ROI that were part of the pre-sale. So that's really exciting. I think in this space right now, I've seen other projects that have tried to launch and failed. I've seen other projects that are kind of either dying on the vine or have been rugs, soft rugs, whatever you want to call it. And so to be at this point, 1 month in, and have the TVL that we have the investor base, which I think are some of the experts in these daily ROI dApps. I mean, our advisor group is made up of, some of the icons in this daily ROI dApp space. SK Crypto K, Kelly Snook, her sister Rebecca, Chris Dugan, Duncan, Airfire. We just have a lights out team of advisors that have really helped us, steer us from the beginning, but then also make our pre-sale and our launch very successful. And now just, with the tweaks and improvements that we've made over the last month or so, I think the UI and the user experience on our dApp is just getting better and better every day. So.
Next question is twofold. What kind of partnerships do you, with different projects, can we expect from Ark? And the second part is, could you give us an example of how you think other projects could leverage Ark to their benefit or to Ark's benefit?
All right. I guess I'll take that one, Brett. Well, we already have our first partnership with Ultima because we like. It's not for everybody, that product, but for those folks that would like to have an offshore component to be able to access their crypto to fiat through different channels. That is something that I personally have been looking for at least the past 3 years, 4 years. I foresee that there's going to be future partnerships. We've already even reached out to some projects, and we're not going to be able to say who or their names, but there's definitely some folks that we think that we could benefit by working together. That is something that I believe is important to our culture. We are not here to point fingers and say that anybody's better than anyone else. I think as a community, we need to uplift the developers, the teams that are putting the work in, that are doing the right thing by their investors when we're surrounded by a sea of vultures of folks that are just don't have any morals, ethics, or scruples how they make their money. So we need to, I think, respect, uplift each other, work together. February 2nd, for example, I've been invited to a poker game over at the Pillars Discord. James Pelton's going to be there, AJ from EMP. There's another gentleman from I think it's called the MDB Project. And I accepted because I think that's exactly what we need to do. We, as developers, need to sit down. Let's play a game. Let's talk about the space. Let's talk about, talking to our investors and saying, hey, be careful. Do some due diligence before you go and put your funds into some trading bot. You don't know who these people are. Have some common sense. And I know we do that. We do that every night. That's what we do our podcast. So that's something that is very much in our roadmap. And I think another part of that as well is you're going to see developments happen here that are going to attract other projects to come and partake and be able to anchor themselves here with what we've built. But if there's one thing that I would hope is a motivation to other future developers and also to investors, is that they take a page out of what we did here when it came to the token distribution, pre-sale, and even after launch, of stopping that cycle of that little 1% that's always with friends of the dev, getting the tokens and then dumping on everybody else. I think that's set the bar, and it'll only happen if the community of investors demand that. If I'm going to get into a project, I want everyone not vested. I want everyone invested, where you have to earn through time. We're all playing on a level playing field. And I really hope that that is adopted as a standard going forward. But I think it only starts with the investors getting sick and tired of the same game, of the same chart, really demanding a more level playing field, giving folks an opportunity to win.
Excellent. I like that answer, but I have a follow-up to it. Is there a project out there that you would like to send an invitation to? Yeah, come partner with us.
We already have through a letter.
I know, but I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me who.
No. You don't kiss and tell, as they say, and that would be undue pressure. And I think those things are business, just like corporations. You handle mergers and you handle that privately, and then when you have a deal on the table, the ink is dry, and everything's been set. We would come out to the public, and I don't know, Brett, you agree with me on that?
There you go, answering my question with logic.
Yeah, I think the main message is that we're very open, and I think that the community really wants to see these projects band together rather than the infighting happening. I know that was something when I got started in the space, I wasn't familiar with sort of this tribalism and this maxi mindset. Doesn't, from an investor standpoint, doesn't make a lot of sense for me. And I think that if we banded together across these projects and found common ground, we'd be much stronger. What we're really fighting is CeFi at the end of the day. We're not fighting DeFi. We shouldn't be fighting amongst each other. So, yeah, I think that the culture and the mindset here is that we're very open to these partnerships where it can allow us to go faster or give a benefit to our investors that doesn't make sense for us to build ourselves. We do very much have a culture of building things ourselves, being in control of investor funds and knowing where our contracts came from. It's very important to us. As you know, this is a complete ground up build. There isn't a bit of code that comes from another protocol. So that's very near and dear to our heart. And so as we approach partnerships or anything like that, it would have to be a 1 + 1 = 3, a benefit for both parties involved, whether that's cross marketing, cross promotion, increasing the investor base due to a new technology that we can plug in, a new product that we could offer our investors that benefits on both sides of the table. So, yeah, that's kind of the culture and the mindset that we have about partnerships.
Excellent. Thank you. This question is Not my favorite, but I think it should be asked anyway, just because I've seen lots of people talking about it. Um, what's with this crypto Vo YouTube thought? Um, does it mean that all the influencers receive minted Ark just to promote the project? The second part of the question, I posted in the chat as well, so you guys can read it. But what's with the 17% of the pre-sale funds set aside for marketing? Why isn't why isn't influencers and YouTubers being paid through that?
They are. Let me clarify that. We have
Yeah, please.
advisors, and advisors are advisors to the team. They're advisors to the project. I think we've done a very, very good job of selecting folks that have a voice, that have an influence in their groups, that have some respect for being in the culture, in the scene for a while. The situation with CryptoVo initially had been in talks with him months before and saw that he had a great community, a great YouTube channel, and a lot of these places, they're self-proclaimed degens, but hey, it's crypto, right? Like, a degen also wants to do some safe plays that are going to be long-term while they have their degen bag. So with him, initially, we invited him to bring some of his community into the private sale, understanding that those folks know a lot of other people. We did that with a couple of our advisor teams, understanding that if they backed the project, they did their due diligence, they would be educators. The first 50 folks that came into ARK, as I told you, this is back in February, March of last year. I told you this group of 50 Syndicate founders. Each of them put 1,000 BUSD into the project. Everybody paid. SK, K for the Future Lounge, Root Cane. So we knew these are folks that had influence, they had communities, because this is a project that it's not a token you just purchase and sell. It's not a trading token. There is education that needs to happen. You need to spend the time to explain, why is this different? Why is it special? We do not want any investor coming to ARK that does not know how to manage your investment, that they're just going to FOMO in. First thing you're going to realize, you can't even buy it on pancake swaps. You have to learn to come through the D app and so forth. So with him, he was very proactive. I think he filled like maybe 15 of the private sale. He was very pumped. And at one point before launch in Christmas, which launched on December 18th, he said, "Listen, I'm tired. I'm burnt out of all this, these shitcoins and rugs. I want to anchor myself to the ARK. I want to get involved. I see what you guys did here. This is massive. I can see your vision of going to the average Joe and Jane, the plumber, the real world, and giving folks a high yield investment product. And you guys have a team that's able to do that. And I'm going to do 3 videos a day. A week. That's what he said. 3 videos a week." And I was like, wow, okay. I mean, that's a huge commitment. And to be fair and very clear, he didn't try to hustle me to get an advisor position or say I need these type of tokens. That was not his intention. But I'm a businessman, and I understand if I can bring somebody of that caliber to come on board and really fly the flag of ARK, at that level, with that level of influence, like SK Crypto K, for example, I said, well, look, would you be interested in a advisor position here? We would take your profile picture. You can use your logo if you don't want to show your face. Give us a short bio. We'll put you on the advisor page. And my advisors is a long-term commitment to really be here in the project. So if you're going to go to that level, I understand that if my team isn't well taken care of and poised for being committed to the project long term, that's why we have all of the tokens in the vault, then they're not going to have an incentive to really continue to be here. We talked about that earlier. So I offered, I said, we'll give you an advisor role, we'll give you a position, we'll give you an NFT that was paid for us. And everything was fine until 3 weeks passed, the Christmas, New Year's, and the guy just completely ignores my messages. I go to his group, sir, please check DMs. Just no words, no nothing. At one point, he even deleted our chat. And in Telegram, when someone deletes a chat, it's a red flag. Something really strange is going on. So I had to make an executive decision. I had a meeting with my team. I said, this man has not held up his advisor role. He is not answering us. He's deleting messages. At the same time, I see that he's doing, videos for other projects. And because, you think, hey, maybe the guy's sick. Maybe he's in a hospital. Just have patience, which I did. But then I see him active. And then at that point where we made the decision, there was a bunch of rugs that happened. There was, talk from him and his own group that he was leaving crypto, shutting down the YouTube, shutting down the chat. I lost 300K. I'm out of here. And then we look at the wallet and we see that this person is coming and they're playing the game and they're claiming. He did in the beginning, into the Syndicate founders, the private sale, he did put 1,000 BUSD. And in that time, he got a 1.5x of just, I believe it was around 3 weeks. He got a 1.5x while the rest of our investors are waiting for their ROI. So I said, this isn't fair. If we let this continue, this is going to be a drain on the system. This is a difficult situation. It's like you have a stowaway, or a thief that comes in the night, and every night he comes to your house and steals. And because of that, I had to make the decision, and we pretty much, locked him out of the system completely, as those tokens were under an advisory role, not an investor role. And there's a big difference. If you work here, if you steal from the project, if you don't keep your end of the deal, if you do something negative towards the project or our investors, you're in a different, you're held to a different standard. An investor is an investor. You can come to our Telegram, you can say whatever you want. If you conduct yourself in an irresponsible, a negative, racist, or whatever way that would merit for you to be kicked out and banned from the Telegram or Discord or any social media, we still would never touch your investment. You're an investor. That belongs to you. So that's the long explanation, but I think it had to be explained here as to what happened and the why. Still to this day, the man won't call me, will not face me, which I still don't get that. And, from my experience and my ethics and my upbringing from my family, as a man, you face situations, you communicate, you talk, hey, I can't do it for this reason, or I can't do it, I'm going to back out. You just don't sit there and hide down the rabbit hole as the silly wabbits like to do.
That's all fair. I think most people hear that and they're like, that's not DeFi. But at the same time, a deal is a deal. If you commit to something, you should do it. And if you don't, why should you reap the benefits?
Yes, and to continue, because there was a second part of the questions, YouTube videos, marketing, all that type of stuff is paid from marketing funds. Because that was another important part of the question I do want to address. Advisors are a completely different situation.
Okay, and any plans on? I think that's the one. Any plans on rehypothecating the funds in the contract to earn more yield somewhere else?
Brett?
Yeah, we've talked about that, and setting up, farming type situations or opportunities for use cases of the token beyond the 3 contracts we have now. We're looking more closely at that to see if that's something that would be beneficial, and if the yield would make sense. Right now, our focus is on obviously the bridging over to the mass market and getting our mobile web app and things in order. But we do have our eye on some other product opportunities to help lock up tokens and allow the utility to expand a bit. But we're not there yet. We haven't made any announcements about those, but we do have some ideas in mind.
Okay. Look forward to those. Just like most of these daily ROI tools are their communities each have like community built tools, like DripFi, Furio Stats, blah blah blah. Any plans on? Has anybody in the community made an external tool for you guys? Do you guys plan on making, like calculators, tools to complement, like DripFi to complement the system? Or rather, would you consider doing like a bounty so that people can, instead of your dev team doing all the work, so kind of like the Spark Prize, perhaps you guys could have a bounty for people to make dApps that interact with Ark that make it more useful and so on?
Yeah, we actually have a few different community-led calculators. Obviously, Kelly Snook is an advisor. She made kind of our core calculator that we use we link to it from the website and the DApp. Then there's also a couple other applications that have started. One is a Dune Analytics page that was community built. And then we also just saw somebody built a kind of a team wallet viewer, so they can enter their team wallet and then see various downline members and see different stats for their wallets. So yeah, there's some of that's already starting. We do have our own initiative to build our own Dune Analytics. That's I would say just sort of an official one. But yeah, I agree with you. It'd be nice to have additional apps available so that we didn't have to develop them all. We have a lot, going on behind the scenes, and it makes sense to have those led. Yep.
I think something like a bounty, like you guys do the Ark, what's it called again?
That's a good idea.
The Spark Prize, right? Perhaps you start a fund that keeps growing for community-led efforts. That way you reward the community members with airdrops and so on. Blah blah blah. Pay them for their work to help.
Yeah, that's a really smart idea.
Appreciate that. To help you see maybe angles that you didn't think of, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know there's some really great drip tools that I even use still to this day that would be nice to have, and we know some of the community members have been identified for some of those, so that'd be a great incentive to add kind of a bounty program or a prize pool or something like that. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Why the daily podcasts? I know that's a silly question, but I've been in quite a few projects, and very few of them put forward the commitment to talk to the audience every day. What makes you guys different? Why? It's a great idea. I'm just curious who came up with it and what was the driving reason behind it, so to speak.
Well, I've always done that. It's who I am. It's the way that I work, and it goes back to just sort of the understanding. I'm sure you've been to a restaurant, everybody here, where you're having your dinner, and the owner of the restaurant comes to your table and asks you, Sir, Madam, is everything okay? How was the food? How was the service? They're taking the time to engage directly with their customer, and 9 out of 10 times, folks that are really taking that time to be there are businesses that are running very efficiently because the owner is very involved. He's not relying on management. He's not relying on staff to tell him what he wants to hear. He's not just sitting there, in the back and looking at the balance sheet. So I believe that approach is extremely important. And when it comes to crypto, I don't see any difference. And being there, always available, I'm the kind of person that, I like the ability to talk to the boss, the decision maker. And if I have a question, whether it's tough or maybe they don't like it, I like to be heard, especially when it comes to my money, my investment. And through doing that, we have a few opportunities available to primarily educate, as it is a system that for folks that have never been into these types of systems, they have a lot of questions. So I want to oversee that. I want to personally be there. I want to be reliable. I want to see the way that my admins, the rest of my core team is interacting. I want to hear the community. I want to have really, my fingers on the pulse of what's happening, and always on a daily basis. And that's how I work. I'm not a days off type of person. I'm a very hard guy to work for because of that work ethic. 7 days a week, no breaks. Mother's Day, Christmas, New Year's, we do it.
I like it. Yeah, that's one of the things that really stood out about Ark to me is the commitment to interacting with the community, to making sure that even dumb questions, well, what some people.
Hello? I lost sound. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, he's to you mute. You're muted.
Okay, thank you. I thought it was me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Okay.
You're back.
I don't know what happened. Okay, so this question's a little dumb, but I just like asking it anyways. Let's fast forward to January 24. What do you think you will be what do you think you'll be most proud of? Based on, I can't see what you guys have in store because you won't tell me.
Correct.
But if you play psychic for us a little bit, what do you think you'll be most proud of after a year? After Ark's 1 year anniversary birthday, what do you think you'll just? What will you be? Yeah, what do you think you'll be most grateful for? I'm really curious.
Well, for me, on a personal level, I think there'll be a lot of testimonials of folks that have come into this project that have been able to supplement their income or even replace a job that they just hate. We all have dreams, we all have financial goals, and I think through the process of seeing folks ROI grow and thrive in the system that we've built, that we've done in such a responsible, passionate manner. Seeing the reward of folks really having that impact and growth in their personal lives and their finances is going to be for me I think a great reward and personal achievement. On the professional side, I think it's about setting the tone, raising the bar. If you want to be in the space, I suggest that you really put the work in, and that you walk the talk, that you deliver on your roadmap, that you have a team that's really going to be here on a long-term basis. And you have to do that from the beginning, from the foundation. That's something I mentioned before. A lot of folks come with these crazy visions, but who's going to do it? Who's going to build it for you? You're sitting there getting DDoS attacked. You can't even keep your house safe. How do you want me to put my money into your project? So I think lead by example and set the tone, and that I think is going to inspire other developers. I think it's going to create a investor culture of being more critical, maybe sitting on the sidelines a bit and waiting to see the actions of those developers and not letting the FOMO take over, and hold them to a higher standard. That's for me, and I would love for Brett to also, he's put his heart and soul into this, to answer that same question.
Yeah, and I think you and I are very like-minded in that, which is why we've teamed up on this. I think we both, want to see positive impact in people's lives and really change the mindset around DeFi and the perception of crypto in general, how we can impact the world in a way that is positive in terms of getting out of that, debt slave mentality, looking at real-world assets, applications for crypto beyond what we've seen in the past as a store of value, bringing real utility to the space. But then starting, I think, with a foundation like we have, we really have skimmed the cream off the top and brought, not just from a team perspective, but also an investor perspective. And I think what's going to surprise me or thrill me will be that we have community members that we don't know who they are yet, but they're going to come and they're going to bring innovations. They're going to bring, huge groups of people that we have never intended before. I think we're going to see some shooting stars that we see kind of right now, even a changing of the guard, I would say, in the DeFi space. We've got some people that have, taken their scars and their battle wounds and they're sort of gracefully exiting right now. A lot of people are getting out of the game. They've been burned one too many times. But what I think that does, it gives the opportunity for new thinkers and new investors that have a different mindset to come in and as you mentioned, scrutinize these projects in different ways and hold these teams to a higher level or a higher standard than we ever have before. And I think if we can help set that standard and be part of that kind of bar raising event, that would be, I think, very satisfying, I would say, to the success of the project, as well as just people getting a way to, either pay an electric bill or, replace a job income potentially. I think that opportunity is here and we're going to see that happen.
What do we have to look forward to? Give me some alpha. Tell me something. Give me a secret.
I don't know if there's anything that we haven't said already. I'm going to defer to you, Brett. I'm very tight-lipped.
I'm more loose-lipped, but I'll be conservative. I would say
I'm gonna ask this question like 20 different ways.
I know. What we're cautious of right now is there's some intellectual property, I would say, and there's some relationships that we can't reveal yet that we know are going to be are going to blow people's minds in a way that we haven't seen before. I'll just say that at our core, we are a fintech group. We're not just a D app. At the end of the day, this isn't a one-off product. There's a much bigger vision, a much bigger plan. Atlas has touched on some of the future kind of stuff, but even our short to midterm plans, we can't talk as much about as we'd like to. But I will say that our intent to bring mass adoption to our project and to DeFi in general is something that we're not only passionate about, but working very hard towards. And we have a short to medium roadmap to do that. Unfortunately, we haven't penciled that out and been able to reveal that. And I think we're going to do it kind of as a flip the switch moment. We're going to wait until we have, the ink's dried and we have real concrete things that we can share with the community, and almost put it in people's hands so they can see it, touch it, know it's real, because it's much bigger than I've seen anyone in this particular niche of DeFi do. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. I know that's super vague.
That's a great answer, but blah, blah, blah. I wanted secrets.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Tiamu, the blah, blah, blah is all of the empty promises that we're tired of hearing. And I'm not that guy. I'm not going to sit here and tap dance for people and say, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. If you get to know me, you spend some time with me, you'll understand that I'm about action, not about talk. And that's the way I operate.
Let me rephrase the question. Is there a roadmap somewhere?
Oh, you can look at our webpage, and we've got one there for you. I could find it here too. But that is the public information part. That is the roadmap that we're officially standing behind and working on effort. Like just completely putting all hands on deck. However, there are components that are much bigger, much larger than this. I've shared a couple things on some AMAs. I mean, I mentioned it in the beginning. I don't know if you paid attention, but I've been working on a layer one blockchain for over 2 years. And that's a much bigger picture here. That's a blockchain that's running completely off grid, off renewables, and that is not here the next 6 months or a year. We're working on tangible things that are going to connect with Ark.
So what you're saying
Now,
is there's an Ark chain coming.
Like I said, that's maybe takes a year and a half for us to be able to finalize all the contracts and everything that we're building on the back end there. So that's not for this conversation, as that's much later, further into future. What we're referring to is again, I'm going to repeat it, integration here into Ark, this product that's going to take this product to a whole nother level, and that we don't want to explain or get into any sort of details about, as we want to have it completed and then come to our community and showcase it. And then, we love to say
that's so boring. That's so boring.
Oh yeah, let's get this crypto.
Oh god damn! Oh yeah, let's get this crypto.
I lost my train of thought now. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah.
Off topic from Ark. What do you guys think of the state of DeFi right now? What do you think about all these drugs, and what do you think DeFi has in store for us this year, outside of Ark?
Well, I think it's a sad state of affairs, but I think it's. You're asking DeFi, but I see this happening on a global level. Lately, we've had the Luna debacle, right? That was very tough. I remember one day 8 people committed suicide. I read, and it's been very difficult. A lot of folks have been destroyed, this past year. But we're also seeing so many things happening in the traditional rails and the traditional global markets, inflation. But to hear to DeFi and going more into projects on the BSC, and you're talking about those rugs, I think it's unfortunate, and I'm seeing a trend here of folks that are not even, I think, qualified or people that we would think are project developers, some YouTubers, even admins from some other groups that I don't know if they went broke and they've got nothing better to do than try to whip up or copy a smart contract, and they think that they're going to have success. And I do think there should be some accountability for some of these folks that I don't know if it's greed or just doing what they love to do, but they just jump on anything and they lead people to the slaughterhouse. And I'm not here to name any names, but I do see that trend, and I have DMs, people that I know are really in dire straits financially. Some folks have really invested their life savings or their kids' college tuition, and the sentiment is, in my opinion, very sad and depressed. And one of the main key factors as to our prime directive to really not being this space. It's very toxic right now, and folks are very desperate. They're beat up, and they're going through that emotional cycle of depression, and then they get out of that, and then they want to try again, and they are just plain old gambling, and they're not looking for real value.
I'm seeing a lot of people giving up lately, at least, throwing in the towel, so to speak. So much.
In those days of the 100x, those in 3 hours, that's not here. I mean, that's why we built Ark, to get us through the bear market. I mean, if we were to describe it as a ship, there people are talking about the crypto winter. I've heard that before in other cycles in crypto, but now they're saying it's the ice age. So the Ark has a icebreaker hull, right, to keep us afloat from the crypto abyss, as I like to call it. And I think folks are having to educate themselves and look in the mirror and have a serious reflection as to their actions and do some due diligence. And if they're going to continue into space, do some research. And I would encourage them to take the time, stop looking for the next new shiny thing. Anchor yourself to projects of people that have been here, who have proven themselves to be folks that have ethics, morals, that their contracts are safe operating, instead of just trying to search and gamble and go through so much heartache and pain. And that's why, like I said, we see this DeFi space, especially the ROI debt space, I want to be very clear, as a small pond of fish. And our intention is to cast our net in the wide ocean of folks that most of them have never even come into DeFi. And we've got the narratives, and but crypto, how do I know that you're not Sam Bankman-Fried and that you're not a scammer? And well, sir, well, ma'am, let me tell you about this amazing thing, this technology called the smart contract. Let me tell you, the security that we're under, if it's done correctly and audited, and this is why we need DeFi. This is why you need to understand this and take a chance. But we have to make it simple. We have to make it easy for them. I don't know how many friends you've taught how to use MetaMask, and call you every 5 minutes. I think you're muted again. Let's see. There we go. So, yeah, I hope that answers it.
It does. Any advice for people just getting into the space right now? What would you, if your mom was going into DeFi right now, apart from what you just said, avoiding drugs and so on, what would you tell her? What would you tell them to gravitate to? Are there websites, resources you think noobs would find useful? I have a lot of noobs in this room. That's why I'm asking.
You mean like websites like the DeFi Llama, where they could do some research?
That's a good resources that you think will help people avoid potholes. Any little things, any little advice?
Well, I would suggest that this is not the time to buy the dip. I personally don't think the worst is over. So I would say look for passive income, not get rich quick overnight, and do your due diligence, analyze, spend time with the team, see who's put work into it, or identify key projects, key technology. I mean, there's an array of amazing things that are happening in the space. We do a DeFi session every single night, hosted by Z, where we talk about layer ones, and we talk about protocols that are working, for example, with CK Snarks rollups, technology that is something that's going to be common day, give it a year or two. So there's great opportunity out there, but I think the passive income play is personally the way to go. I don't know if Brett wants to add to that.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. And to your comment before about the 100Xs, we still see those kind of those FOMO projects happening here and there, and those are the ones that are the most suspect and typically end up being the ones that, if you see a ton of FOMO or hype around one of those, that's probably the first red flag. The due diligence process is becoming harder. I think that the scams are becoming more sophisticated. So, digging deeper, and then I think the sort of the days of the lone wolf dev and the one-off guy, and these, look for teams that have breadth, that have multiple areas of expertise that they're bringing to the table, and then they're committed to a long-term vision. I think that's probably a good way to help analyze or deep dive a little bit more on projects. In this space, that can be hard because people tend to be anonymous or, don't have a track record. So I think, as you're doing your research and finding some of these groups like your group, Timu, those are great resources, and that you can get the social proof and from people that have been in the space for a long time that know how to kind of sniff out these projects that are suspect. I think that's important. And then I guess in terms of the state of things right now and resources and information and things, I think that just being in the space for a period of time and at least dipping your toe in the water on certain projects, but not going all in, I think that's an important thing to keep in mind right now.
Anything, that's the end of my questions. Anything that you guys think, what should everybody know? I guess that's the question. What do you think everybody should know about Ark? Like, you're too long, didn't read, what do you think?
Well, I think you've given us a platform here to really give you a macro view and I think get to know us and what we're about and our work ethic and what we've been able to in a very short time prove to the investor community from the front of the house, the way we engage our podcast, but also the quality of the product, the way it looks, the way we've been able to put it together, do updates. The team is absolutely just so committed, dedicated, and just through our pre-sales, I mean, it was very, very, very clear. We sold our first round in 2 minutes. That was a one NFT. It was insane. I mean, people took the time to understand what was done here. This wasn't a simple fork of anything. This was a combination of really understanding and seeing exploits and seeing, how a system could be improved. And in the hands of, I think, a great team, a lot of things can really come to fruition. I know there's a lot of folks that have been sitting on the sidelines and waiting to see what happened. I mean, Furio is a great example. Furio had its massive, I think, real push 3 months into, after their launch. If you paid attention and recalled, and I know for a fact, folks haven't seen anything yet as to what's coming and what we're doing. But what we have proven is that we walk the talk and that we are committed and we have a solid product and we intend to continue to improve it. And in the end, our prime directive, I think, is something very, very ambitious, but it absolutely has to be done if we want to, I think, reach our goals. So well said. That's it for me, Brett.
No, I think that was very well said, Atlas. I don't want to ramble on too much more. I think you and I have connected on that level and see the same vision, and the opportunity for the future is much bigger than the small little corner of DeFi that we see now. So yeah, if we reach our goals in the next 12 to 18 months, I think people will step back and look at this project and think that it just started out as a daily ROI DApp, but turned into something much, much bigger. So that's what we're shooting for.
Beautiful. Are the legacy NFTs tradable, sellable, or is it just is there a secondary market for the legacy NFTs rather, or do you guys plan on having that?
Yes, we do plan on having that at one point. There's not a demand for it at this moment. People that are seeing the long-term vision of the project, and they're getting right now between a 0.3 to 0.4% daily ROI and payback on those legacy NFTs. So it's not only a great ROI instrument in this market, but also has a bunch of built-in utility that could be leveraged as your vault investment. You have some flexibility in your CWR schedule. There's also the referral reward levels that are attached to those NFTs. So that's how you qualify for referral rewards. And then also the DAO vote. As Atlas mentioned, we have that built into our smart contracts now. So people are really looking forward to leveraging all of those utilities. And then also they're just sitting back and collecting BUSD. And so everybody's pretty happy. They've gotten, I think we're well over 10% return on investment at this point. So if we maintain the payback schedule, it will be less than 1 year. You'll get an ROI on that legacy NFT.
Yeah, I think I'm well above 10%. Well above
Great.
that. I don't know what number it is. Is there a chance that the LMS will break, either for the good or ill?
So yeah, so it can't technically break. It's an algorithmically controlled, I would say, liquidity controller. What we can do is make adjustments to the dynamics of it, and we have those in place now. But as you've seen, the price stability is what we're really after at this point. We don't want anybody to get left behind in this project, and so we're making an attractive entry point to anybody coming in as of now. But it is dynamic and it can move. The price can range. So we're allowing it to do its thing. And, if at one point we have growth that outpaces our expectations and we need to make adjustments to the ILC in order to be able to accommodate that growth, and we reflect that in the price range, then we'll make those adjustments at that time. But right now we're very satisfied with the way it's operating, and giving people a passive return on their investment in a range that I think is very attractive for this type of passive income play. I think if people look back at DRIP, and if you did a consensus for people that have been in DRIP a long time, I mean, I've said this for the last 12 months. If DRIP was in that $5 to $10 range, I would be happy for forever, And so yeah, that's kind of our mindset right now. And I think with the innovations that we have coming out with the mobile web app and these development projects we've talked about that are kind of behind the scenes, we're comfortable with where things are right now. We don't see a need to make any changes.
Beautiful. That brings my questions to an end. You guys want to give the audience a chance to ask questions? I can't think of a single other thing I could ask because you guys gave me way too much info.
Hey, Tia.
Yes.
Hey, Brett, why don't you share? I'm sure people are wondering what the heck's going on with all these red hearts on people's profiles. You mind sharing how what Ark's done is, I mean, they've brought the community awareness, and people's going out writing articles and and sharing their love with Ark, and I just think it's a big deal. Do you mind sharing that with folks?
Sure. Yeah, we have a couple different contests over on our Telegram group and also our Discord. Right now we have an I Heart Ark edition you can make to your name. If you scroll through some of the people that are in a cult drip, then you'll see some of the I Heart Arks pop up. Just by adjusting your name, you're going to be entered to win 200 BUSD. We're giving away 1,000 BUSD in total, so there'll be 5 winners of 200 BUSD each. Just by changing your name with the iHeart Ark and then submitting it to our admins, you'll be qualified for an entry. Then the second thing that we have going is our all aboard sessions during our podcast, where we're featuring a content creator that's made a video or written a Medium article about Ark. If they're featured, if we select them to be featured on our podcast, they get an automatic 100 BUSD. And then the people that are participating in the podcast can then go over and like, share, comment, clap on those articles and YouTube videos. And then we spin the wheel for people that participated during the live event. They can get selected to win either 50 BUSD if we have less than 50 participants. And then over 50 and over participants, we have 100 BUSD to give away every day on the live podcast. Yeah, so thanks, Florida Realtor, for bringing those up. Yeah, daily BUSD giveaways over on our TG channel.
Awesome. What do you think that we as a community can do to help Ark?
Yeah, I think that we just mentioned those the all aboard session, and community-led. Yeah, so community-led marketing is our real focus right now until we make that push down to the mass market, where we're going to be providing more collateral, I would say, to people and tools for them to go out and onboard more investors. For now, we're growing organically through those channels that we know have been successful. YouTube videos, obviously, and Medium articles. There are still huge teams in Drip built around those two platforms, and so those are our focus now. We're doing that daily BUSD giveaway. We did have a contest early on, but we think this format is far better for education and showing people the power of those community-led type marketing efforts through simple content too. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. If you've never done a video before, never done a Medium article, we're there to hold your hand, and we can walk through those on our podcast, and you can see the results that other community members are having by putting those out there on the internet, and then having the referral link available. They're getting referral rewards back into the system. They're attracting new investors, which is what the goal of those efforts really are at the end of the day. And just spread positive messages. I think that right now we need to get rid of the uncertainty and a lot of the just FUD in general around these projects that have tainted once again. You mentioned people exiting DeFi, which we just don't want to see. So if there are some shining lights in an otherwise dark tunnel, I think those should be highlighted and brought and showcased to the communities, not just people that are in these other daily ROI dApps, but maybe are in other DeFi projects or other areas of crypto that are looking for the passive income. Our value proposition right now is a very powerful one that I think people that are trying to ride out this roller coaster of 2023 should have access to and really take the time to understand an investment like Ark.
Wonderful. Any questions from the audience? You guys should all be unmuted, so feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question that we haven't covered yet. In the meantime, is there anything that you guys think you want to leave us with?
Well, I think that we are very grateful for the opportunity to be here with your community. You've been a great host. You've been an investor. You took the chance. You did your research. So I'd like to first of all commend you for giving us a chance. And sometimes that's all it takes is give folks that are there that are taking the time to do the right thing and I think walking in the right direction with ethics and morals. Give them a chance, and a little bit can turn into a lot in these type of investments if they're successful. So we always encourage folks to be very, very frugal and responsible with their investments into Ark. And we'd love to join you. I don't see another project out there currently that's we showed you the dashboard that's paid out in just a short amount. I mean, we're not even talking about the ROI payouts that folks are really experiencing. We're talking here the Spark Rewards price every single night. Also, you're looking at the legacy NFT BUSD rewards that are happening. The community couldn't be happier because all they hear is this.
I like it. Any questions from the audience? Or did you guys all fall asleep? I do have a sweet little voice or something. Thank you, Atlas, for being here. I also wanted to thank T-Drip from the DeFi Lounge. Without him, I wouldn't be in this project, so thank you, sir. Much appreciated. The link to his room is pinned in the chat. Feel free to go visit. I posted in the room 2, 4, 6, I think 8, 2, 4, 6, 7 of the questions I asked so far. Those are the winners of the giveaway prize. I've got 2 more to add. I just forget which number it was. I have to go back to the Excel sheet. But those guys will get, to share the prize pot. Very grateful for you guys stopping by. It's been a pleasure. Hope to see you guys again. Any final?
Thank you. Well, it's never too late. You can see that price is holding stable as intended. The intelligent liquidity controller is doing an amazing job. It's a massive BUSD, and there really is no excuse for anyone not to come and invest into Ark. You can't come and tell us, oh, we didn't get into the pre-sale. We weren't there at launch. Price is stable, and you don't want just if you want a token that's just tradable and you want to get a 10x off the token, this is not the project for you. If you want a stable return on investment and various products within the system that get you great returns, then Ark is the place. Folks can see the chart, they can see the investment 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, and they'll understand that they will be able to play the same game that the team is playing, that YouTube is playing. Any investor that joined last week, anyone that comes into the foundation tonight, we still got, I believe, around another 5 hours before the giveaway. If they deposit 250 USD worth in the foundation, they're eligible for the Spark rewards. It's really that simple, and there's so many ways to really partake, and that was the intention, this fair, level playing field. Because if you don't build something that 6 months from now, a year from now, a gentleman that works on a beach in Thailand cracking coconuts for tourists can't look at Ark and say, hey, hold on, I can play the same game that they did a year ago. I have the same opportunity, the same level playing field, the same return on investment. If you can't build that, then I don't think there's a purpose. I wouldn't be here. I'm not here to build a project. I know Brett's not here. I know Mr. Green's not here. I know Jan's not here. Any of my team or even any of the investors here are here for anything but a multi-year strategy, providing the same investment to folks, regardless of when they hear about Ark for the first time. Just like when you play Monopoly. You could have played Monopoly a year ago. You sit down with your friends. Everybody has the same rules. Everybody gets the same amount of cash to start with. You play the game. You put it back in the box. Maybe 2 years later, you play again. That was our intention. That is what I believe we've accomplished. And that is going to give us a lot of room for growth. And so many folks that are looking for that passive income will come here. Let's get this crypto.
Yeah, let's get this crypto.
Oh, god damn! Oh, yeah, let's get this crypto.
I am so underutilizing my equipment. I have a Steam Deck, I have all this stuff, but you make it seem like a science, I guess.
Bye. Hey, Tamet, hope you're well. Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Yeah, Tamet. So I run the DeFi news segments on the podcast every night. And you mentioned, about like where is DeFi going? Should what should we be looking into and stuff? So every night we do a rabbit hole. We go into ecosystems. The last one we did was Hedera Hashgraph, and before that we did Ton, which is Telegram's clientele for wallets. We do that. We make sure that everyone sort of goes in that rabbit hole and learns about ecosystems. And once you know about ecosystems and use case, then you sort of take it further ahead and buy those dips. Currently, I wouldn't buy a dip, as Atlas said. On our Discord, we have a whole segment called, a subcategory called DeFi Crypto Streets, where we sort of check crypto news. We put relevant links into there, and we have some great discussions every night. They last, like our podcast goes for 3 to 4 hours, sometimes 5 to 6 hours when we're just going through research. So yeah, your crowd can surely join them and join our Discord.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. I like it. Anything else to add, fellas? Actually, that's that already. But thank you guys for coming. This was wonderful. I think got a lot to think about, actually. I think based on what you guys are saying, I think maybe I need to start another wallet or something. blah blah blah. Not financial advice or any of that. But I think I might need to start another wallet. Is this what FOMO is? Yes, this was FOMO. All right, guys. I hope to see you in the next one.
Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Well, you got a smile on your face. I think we did a good job. And thank you for having us here. And look, you're a leader in your community, and with that comes great, I think, responsibility. And I commend you for the way you interact. I don't know if everyone here knows, but we paid to go to AMAs, and when many folks came and hey, come on over to talk to Tiamat and let's go talk to his amazing community. We offered to pay. We generally pay around $600, around 2 BNB, for an opportunity to speak with such a wonderful community, with such a great leader. And this gentleman absolutely selfishly refused the payment and said, "Can we give it to our investors instead? Can the folks that participate, ask the questions, can they take that reward?" And that personally impressed me and said a lot about your character and what you're about. When I tell you, I deal with a lot of people that are in it for themselves. Again, not to say any names, but that was a sign of, I think, a lot of humbleness, so a lot of respect.
Well, I just think it's more important to reward the people asking the questions, because they're the ones providing the content, so to speak. Because there's no way I could have come up with these good questions all by myself. I mean, the questions I came up with were pretty lame. I studied mostly. So thank you for giving me something to ask. And I don't charge for my AMAs, but one thing I do ask is that people, give whatever you're going to pay me. I usually prefer giving it to the people that are actually asking the questions. I don't know if that's whatever you want to call that, but that's how I do it.
Well, it's I think caring about your community, your investors. You're not in it for yourself, and I think we can see that culture also. We give away the Spark Rewards, but we also give away $100 of BUSD to whoever we invite to share their article or medium. We also give 50 BUSD to the folks that are participating to hit the likes and leave comments. As we know, the algorithms really push that to the top. So we also believe in that. Give to your community. That's our real asset. Without a community, I don't care how great your product or your project is, you need folks that are passionate, that believe, and that are willing to step out of their comfort zone, have a conversation with somebody, especially after the ROI. We see a complete just fire starting within the community of folks that are feeling confident in such uncertain times, because we built it so that everyone could get a win, not just hyper compound their way to millions, but follow the real philosophies of investing. This is not just in crypto, but never invest when you can't afford to invest. And second, pay yourself. And we did that in phase one. And no matter how many times, again, 67 podcasts consecutive there, people would just sit there and hyper compound. So we said, let's take that away. Let's force them through the contracts to pay themselves, so that they can get a win. And this is what people need right now in the space. They need a win.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you guys again. I hope to perhaps we can do this again in a couple months as a follow-up, see where you guys are going, where you guys have been since then, and where you're going to go from there. Rather.
We'll have a lot more to show you. That's for sure. We won't have to tease you. We'll actually be here. Hey, man, look at this.
That was not nice, but
I know, man.
With that.
Hey, don't worry, man. You're gonna be happy. You're gonna be really happy. It's kind of like Christmas, right? You got your wish list, but you never know really what you're gonna get. So you sit under the Christmas tree and you unwrap those presents. And that's kind of the emotion I think we're going to find here when folks really see what's cooking, and they're going to have a tangible thing. It's very easy to promise. It's very easy to sell a dream, but it's hard to put the work in and deliver. And that's what the space needs, folks that are going to do the work and then bring it to you. So with that, I have 1 minute before we go into a very, very important meeting that we have set. So I must go. Brett has to go with me. The rest of the community, if they want to hang out. But thank you again. Thank you to your whole community for giving us this amazing opportunity and a platform to have this conversation.
Thank you for being here, my friend. Much appreciated. Thank you, Brett. You two have been. You gave me way too much information. Now I've got to go take a nap.
Bye-bye. Take care, guys. Have a good one. We got to run.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Enjoy.
Let's get this crypto.
Let's go.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye.